how would I describe my image in the media?
Yes.
I wouldn't describe it.
Lil Wayne has been one of the rappers that has been pivotal in upholding the legacy of hip-hop. He entered the industry at a very young age and has since been doing well in discovering new artists and releasing hit songs that are a part of the pillar of hip-hop. But he has been at the forefront of so many controversies and scandals that makes his person questioned. Is Lil Wayne a true beacon of hip-hop and a proper representation of the Black community? Here's everything you need to know about his run-ins with the feds and other scandalous activities. Born on September 27, 1982, Lil Wayne spent his first few years in the impoverished Holly Grove neighborhood of uptown New Orleans, Louisiana's 17th Ward. His mother had him when she was just 19 years old, and she was a cook. His father abandoned the family when Wayne turned 2 and never looked back, leaving him and his mother in the impoverished town. The only good thing for Wayne was that he was a gifted student, which afforded him the chance to be enrolled under the gifted program at Lafayette Elementary School. He then went on to attend Eleanor McMain Secondary School for 2 years, where he was an honor student and a member of the drama club. Wayne wrote his first rap song when he was 8 years old. He was lucky enough to meet rapper and Cash Money Records co-founder Brian Williams, also called Baby or Birdman. Birdman mentored him and helped him develop a love for hip-hop, which would eventually be the bedrock of his successful career. Wayne started recording rap freestyles over the answering machine for Birdman. When Wayne turned 12, he claimed his mother asked him to cut off all his rap connections and focus on his education. But he already had a passion for music and decided that taking his own life was the best course of action. So he shot himself in the chest, and a police officer ordered he be carried to the hospital in the police car rather than waiting for an ambulance to arrive. Just that action saved his life, and till this day, Lil Wayne calls the officer Uncle Bob. Although other accounts claim that it was the effort of several officers that saved Wayne's life, it doesn't really matter as long as he's alive right now and thriving. By the time he turned 14, Lil Wayne dropped out of school to pursue a rap career. For other young boys, it would have been a bad move. But considering that Wayne had a mentor in the industry, it was possible for him to get into the industry and find his footing. In 1997, Lil Wayne became the youngest member of Hot Boys at 14, joining Juvenile, BG, and Turk. The group had a successful run and had several chart-topping songs until the group disbanded in 2001. All the members of the group except Lil Wayne left Cash Money Records because of financial mismanagement. As Lil Wayne's solo career kicked off, he started experiencing regular run-ins with the law, and that was the start of many legal problems he would have in the future. Before the legalization of weed in certain states in the U.S., it was one of the worst things to be caught with as a Black rapper. So when Lil Wayne's tour bus was stopped in 2007 after his performance at the Beacon Theater in New York City, and the cops found marijuana, he was arrested. The police revealed that they perceived marijuana as the tour bus passed, and they stopped them for a search. They found Wayne and another man smoking, and inside one of the bags of marijuana, they found a pistol. Wayne initially denied owning the gun as it was registered to his manager. Upon further investigation, he admitted to owning the gun and was charged with criminal possession of a weapon and marijuana. In 2007, some months after the previous incident, Lil Wayne was arrested again, but in Idaho this time. The Georgia authorities arrested him on felony fugitive charges for possession of controlled substances. The fact that he had been arrested the same year for the same thing made the case more embarrassing. But the charges were dropped, and the authorities said it was a mix-up. But what kind of mistake could that be? How do you arrest somebody on drug charges without proper investigation? While it's fun now to defend Lil Wayne, he was arrested a year later in January 2008 for actually possessing controlled substances. His tour bus was stopped by Border Patrol in Yuma, Arizona, and when they searched, they found marijuana, cocaine, ecstasy, and almost $22,000 in cash. He was charged with the possession of narcotics, dangerous drugs, misconduct involving weapons, and possession of drugs and paraphernalia, making it 4 felonies in total. All these charges could have led to years in prison, but he was given permission to travel outside of the state after posting bail of $10,185. But he was not acquitted of the charges. Lil Wayne returned to court on May 6, 2008 and pleaded not guilty to the charges against him. The final trial was supposed to be in 2010, but Lil Wayne did not show up and a bench warrant was granted. He was incarcerated in Rikers Island for another charge of possession of weapons, serving 1 year. Wayne accepted the charges against him and served 36 months of probation after the 1-year prison sentence ended. Before his 1-year prison sentence in 2010, with an unidentified amount of marijuana in 2009. While in Rikers Island, the warden found contrabands, which were an MP3 player, charger, and headphones with him. It didn't lead to an extended punishment for him though, but it said a lot about how hard it is for him to obey instructions. After the last arrest in 2010, he was able to stay out of jail until 2020, when he pleaded guilty to firearms charges. But staying out of trouble with the feds did not keep him out of the courtroom. On July 24, 2008, Lil Wayne was sued by Abco Music Inc. for copyright infringement and unfair competition. The lawsuit came after the release of Playing with Fire, and the music corporation claimed that the song was derived from Rolling Stones' Play with Fire, to which they own the rights. The case did not drag for so long and they reached an agreement. The track was taken off the Carter 3 and replaced with Monster. The next lawsuit came in February 2009 by RMF Productions, and they sued him for $1.3 million. The company had invited Lil Wayne for a show, which he postponed 3 times and paid an advance of $100,000, but he canceled all the shows. He was on his I Am Music tour and needed time to focus on that. So why did he go ahead and accept the advance payment? He could have returned it when he realized he could not meet up with their demand. In October 2009, Italian spoken word artist Thomas Mariscolo sued Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records for using his voice without permission on Respect. Lyrics of his spoken words were used in the track after they asked him to record the spoken words and sent it to them. It appeared that they were trying to one-up him, but he stopped them in their tracks with the lawsuit. They didn't take the song down, and we don't know if the spoken words artist was settled, but it was already saying a lot about how fraudulent Cash Money Records was. In March 2011, Lil Wayne and Cash Money Records were sued by producer Diesel for unpaid royalties from the Carter 3 album. The album sold over 2 million copies, so there was no logical reason to not settle those who worked on the album. To show how fraudulent Cash Money Records were, they were sued 2 months later by another producer in Bangladesh for unpaid royalties. Still in 2011, another producer sued Lil Wayne for $1.5 million in unpaid royalties and production services for his work on the same album. The lawsuit by David Kirkwood revealed that Lil Wayne was also owing him after he wrote the song Love Me or Hate Me. In June 2011, Dallas producers Play and Skills sued him and claimed that he owed at least $1 million in unpaid royalties. In July 2011, a production company, Done Deal Enterprises, sued Carter, Universal Music Group, Cash Money Records, and Young Money Entertainment, claiming copyright infringement. They alleged that he stole the song Bedrock, which he featured on the album We Are Young Money. They were demanding $15 million in damages. In November 2011, Lil Wayne was ordered to pay Quincy Jones $2.2 million based on a lawsuit that claimed Wayne blocked the release of his film, The Carter, which made Quincy lose his profits. At this point, Lil Wayne probably has enough lawsuits that can be used to form a whole new course under the law study in schools, because why is he always in and out of the court? But on a more serious note, there are so many similarities in all of Lil Wayne's lawsuits, which is him either owing people money or stealing other people's works. During his constant run-in with the feds, Lil Wayne was always found with drugs. So it appears that he may have a drug problem, and seeing how he made lean popular, we may not be so far from the truth. Lean has been around since the 90s, which is basically a combination of cough syrup and any drink. Due to his lyrics, Lil Wayne made the concoction mainstream, and many young people adopted the new drug. It was actually his love for lean that introduced him to a new generation of listeners, and he revealed that he didn't really fancy it. Lil Wayne admitted that doing lean was not cool, but the deed had already been done. We can't blame his drug problems for him drowning in debt. Lil Wayne had been raking in debts on unpaid jewelry and also on one of his cards. It's not like Lil Wayne had not been making money off his music. In fact, he was making millions of dollars in the industry and could afford to live his life without debt. But for some reason, he continued to rake in debt and live like he was the average person who was surviving on a really low hourly salary. The weird part about all this is Wayne never seemed to care about what his fans had to say about his debts or anything. He seemed like a self-absorbed person who did not care for anybody's opinion, and that was his major problem. To be honest, it seems like he's above canceling culture because he continues to do things that hurt people without repercussions. How did he get away for years with owing people millions of dollars in debt and people don't really call him out? Lil Wayne has remained a beacon of goodness in the hip-hop industry, and people continue to praise him while ignoring the fact that he takes advantage of people that are not as rich as him. When you have so much money, what do you gain from stealing from people? Not only does Lil Wayne steal from people, he is also disconnected from reality. In 2016, Colin Kaepernick made the decision to kneel down during the national anthem, which was an obvious show of faux patriotism. In an interview with Undisputed in 2016, Lil Wayne was asked how he felt about the situation, and his response was nonchalant. He said, "I have no opinion on it because I'm not into it enough to even give an opinion. When he did it, somebody had to tell me why he was doing it. That's how much I didn't know what was going on." The minute he said the first sentence, which was, "I have no opinion on it because I'm not into it enough to give an opinion," was enough for the interviewer to not ask more questions. He already made it clear that he was not acquainted with social issues, which was him essentially saying he was out of touch with reality. Instead of taking that as a sign to back off, the interviewer pressed further and asked him about his view of racism. Lil Wayne responded saying, "I have, and never is a strong word, but I have never dealt with racism." He then went on to say that most of his white-skinned fans did not believe racism was real, and he agreed with them. It's either Lil Wayne doesn't know what racism is, or he is just being willfully ignorant to pander to his white audience. We don't live with Lil Wayne, so we don't know what he experiences daily. But when he was stopped by the Georgia authorities in 2007 and arrested on felony charges, which turned to be a mix-up, that was racism. If he were a white man, he would have not been stopped or arrested in the first place when proper investigations had not happened. The fact that he is excusing millions of black people's experiences because he claims to have not experienced racism is wild. The entire system is racist, and if Lil Wayne chooses to not see that, then nobody can help him ever again. His opinions on issues relating to the black community should not be taken seriously or even sought after, because he has shown that he doesn't really care nor know much about these things. He is constantly trying to pander to his white audience, but many black people continue to ask him to speak on behalf of black people. In another interview with Nightline, he was asked to give his opinion on the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020. Lil Wayne was asked if he regretted his earlier comments on racism, as the Black Lives Matter movement was gaining ground. He replied with, "It just sounds weird. I don't feel connected to a damn thing that ain't got nothing to do with me. If you do, you're crazy." So not only was Lil Wayne not interested in the Black Lives Matter movement, he was also saying people were crazy for showing interest in the movement. He also said it was just a case of one man getting unjustly shot by the police. It was not racially motivated. Lil Wayne used to be a gifted student, and it may be time for him to connect with his inner academic. Racism does not always show up as somebody shouting, "I hate black people." It could be in the form of microaggressions, profiling, and stereotyping. There is no black person that has not experienced racism, no matter how powerful they are. The only problem with popular black people is that they tend to act blind to these issues because they worry it will affect their platform, or they actually genuinely don't care as long as their pockets are full. Lil Wayne then ended the interview by saying, "I ain't no politician." Well, newsflash, Lil Wayne, you don't need to be a politician before you talk about social issues. When it comes to the topic of racism, staying quiet is a choice. It's only a matter of time before it comes to your doorstep, and you and your entire family are affected. Lil Wayne's insistence on not talking about social issues affecting his community shows that he's spineless. In his 2016 interview with Nightline, Lil Wayne took out a red bandana and said that was the only flag he was flying, claiming to be a gangbanger. However, many people in the industry have doubted the authenticity of his affiliations with the Bloods gang. While he grew up in a struggling area in New Orleans, he didn't really have the time to do any gang activity. He left the hood before he turned 20. Rapper Daylight claimed that Lil Wayne was not out in the streets doing anything. He was just a Bloods member for show. Cash Money Records signed Mac 10, who was a Bloods member, and Daylight believed that was the only reason Lil Wayne was claiming to be a Bloods too. Nipsey Hussle also clowned Lil Wayne by talking about how the rapper only started blooding when he was in his 20s and calling it fraudulent. While there should be no competition on who is the most gang-like gang member, Lil Wayne seemed to be taking advantage of the gang culture, which was affecting the black community. So he did not want to associate himself with the community, but he wanted to benefit from it and get their protection. That's really low. In a 2009 documentary showing the life of the Crips and Bloods in America, Lil Wayne said, "I'm not from LA. I don't know too much about the Bloods and Crips. All I know is that it's not a good thing." If Wayne was denouncing the gang culture in 2009, why was he suddenly acting like it was cool in 2016? He needs to pick a side and do it fast. Although his life is constantly surrounded by controversies and stories of debt, he has contributed his quota to music. He gave Drake a chance when Drake's style of music was fairly new and uncommon to the world. But if Wayne should continue robbing businesses of their profit, he wouldn't go down as the legend he should be. He would be labeled a nasty fraud whose only achievement was to take advantage of black-owned businesses while claiming that racism never existed. Lil Wayne still has time to fix his legacy, so his team should sit up and start educating on social issues.